I would not want to be in that at that angle. It's a sturdy little machine, but that'd make me nervous.
This video and this pond build is sponsored by Parrish Tractor and Parrish Tractor Rentals.
More than a tractor store.
And we appreciate all the support they've given us. But yesterday they saved the day because they sent a technician out here on site because my excavator, not a rental, but one that we own out here, broke down in the bottom of the pit. And I thought it was a major problem, and they came out here, quickly diagnosed it, and within an hour they had me back and running. And it got me to thinking about something last night and this morning, because my equipment trailer needs new tires. And it doesn't need new tires because they're worn out, because it mainly sits and doesn't get used, but it needs new tires because on a trailer you got to change your tires like every 3 or 4 years, just because of the dry rot aspect and the fact that you'll have a blowout. And the last time I towed my tractor, I actually had a tread separation, and I had to leave my tractor alongside the road. It was when I was going to do some work on my hunting property. Well, I don't have that hunting property anymore, so the only reason that I have an equipment trailer is so that I can take my equipment somewhere to get serviced. Never did it dawn on me that service could come to me, and that is a big thing that Parrish Tractor offers. So they not only come on site to repair your, troubleshoot and repair your equipment, but they also will come on site and do service. I got a 10,000 pound dual axle trailer, and I think that thing retails at right around $5,000 or $6,000. Plus every 3 or 4 years, you got to put $1,000 worth of tires in it. And then the state of Florida wants like $100 a year for registration to keep it on the road. And if you've ever had a trailer, you know the lights don't always work, so you're constantly fiddling with the lights. And I think a business case can be made for not having a trailer and just having a elite dealership like Parrish come get your equipment to take it back for service or service it on site. I think you'd be money ahead. So that's just something that was going through my mind, and I don't know if other people have thought about that, but I would much rather not have a trailer to maintain and also not have money that's sitting there depreciating, because let's face it, how often does your equipment break and how often does it need service? So here's where we're at with the pond renovation. Unfortunately, we got a quick downpour last night, so I've got some water sitting on the catfish hole that I sealed or I filled in last night, and you can see it's actually holding water. So the clay in there is packed pretty well, but holding water is not a good thing right now because it's already been greasy down in there with the skid steer, and I was just starting to get traction with it drying out. And I was coming up this bank last night just before dark and spreading dirt here, and the darn thing went into regen mode right about the time I was done. So Deb was wondering why I was out here working with the headlights of the skid steer. It's because you can't turn it off. So if I'm going to burn diesel, I might as well get work out of it. But that water, or that rain, unexpected rain last night, is kind of got me changing my plans a little bit. So I'm going to haul in some dry red clay and make me a road going up there so I can keep moving that dirt out, because the goal is to get the end of this pond shaped at least before the big rain. There's no way I'm going to get the whole pond shaped in 3 days. But if I get this end done and get all that extra dirt out of there, all that gooey dirt out of there that's useless, then that'll be a big step in getting to the end goal. So I've put a dent in my red clay pile here in the bottom of that catfish hole. And I think I did 4 loads, and I'd love to get all this to the pond, but we're just going to have to look at it from a time constraint or a time consideration, because I only have that skid steer for a week for a rental, and I need to use it before the rain in a couple days. So I'm going to try and balance my time today with moving dirt with the trailer, but also moving dirt within the pond. This is such a slow process. I mean, this would be a good time to have a bigger dump trailer, but this is the one that I have, and I think running it back and forth with the skid steer wouldn't be any quicker, and it would tear up my road and my pasture. So this is the way I have to do it. trying to figure out where I'm going to get the best bang for my buck. And I think I'm going to get it where I can get the skid steer up here so I can put a lot of that dirt down there on this bank. This bank can be hard to mow, so I want to get it graded properly so it doesn't have all these ruts and everything in it. Yesterday I got the wheels of the trailer in the mud and I almost couldn't get out. The Summit tractor didn't have enough power to come up the slope with the tires of the trailer completely in the mud. It's gonna do fine here though. Alright, off to get another load. Well, my road worked until it didn't, and what happened was going up and down with that 12,000 pound skid steer plus a full load of mud and dirt, and it just, when it gets right here, it dug in and pushed this in, and then it made it more steep of a hill for it to climb. I got a lot of dirt over there, but I wasn't able to get, you know, continuous just doing it quickly because it became harder and harder to climb here. And then I tried to dig down in there where it's kind of sandy. I thought that would be dry enough to get a ramp to go up there, but the same thing. Right here along this edge, it's just, it's almost quicksandy. It's like sand with water in it, and it doesn't hold together. And eventually, after you drive over it a couple times, the ruts are so deep that you're bottoming out the machine. So then I started moving dirt over that side, and Deb brought me lunch, and I was sitting on the bucket eating lunch, and I realized I need to do something about the bucket. I'm finding as I go across there that it's just pockets and pockets of different soil, and I got white gray clay over there, and I got yellow orange clay over there, and then I have white sand around the edges. So what I got to do is dig out all of that white sand and put something better there that will mix with the bentonite clay and just have a better chance at sealing. But I cut this out a couple days ago, and I got to fill all that in. That's just too steep of a drop off. But you can see the clay that's there, especially over there where I filled in yesterday. The clay that's there is holding water. I mean, that we didn't get that much rain, and that hasn't gone down at all. But there's another water place there. So there's good clay under there. I don't want to put sandy muck back there. I want something solid so that you can walk up and down the bank and not be in, even if there's clay underneath that's holding water in the pond, I don't want 2 feet of silt on top of that clay. I want it just the bottom of the pond, and then a little bit of silt or soft material would be okay, but not 2 feet of it. But this pile is relatively sandy, so this is going up on the banks of the pond. And I think that all of the clay packed around the drive gear of the skid steer, I think it's really affecting its power. I thought it would clean itself out because this stuff is getting a little drier, but it's not dry, and I keep finding wet stuff, and it's just all impacted in there. That's got to be robbing it of power. But there's no sense cleaning it out. It's just going to get dirty again, get packed in again. But yeah, look what that drive gear has to go through. Just constantly having to turn mud on the side of the tracks against the side of the excavator. All that's friction. Friction robs power. I hate to even expend any energy doing what I'm about to do, but this bucket is at 1/3 of its capacity. So I'm just going to try and scrape off some of this. Maybe it'll fall off, and maybe it'll, if I keep working it and hitting dry material, maybe more of it will stay off. But it is just like it's glued on there. When you dump it and your bucket doesn't dump, you're just carrying this weight needlessly. I'm feeling really good about my progress, but I ran into another snag or another area that I think the pond was leaking. So in addition to taking the piles of dirt here up the hill, and when you've got a full bucket and the hill's a little slippery, it's really slow going up here. So that area where I was putting the red clay over there, eventually I sunk through it, so I left that area alone and I started working these other areas. But here's what I found. So underneath the muck layer, which is just the silt and everything over the past 6 to 7 years, there's a layer of, depending on where you are in the pond, there's a layer of yellow clay like this here, but it's very sporadic. It's like veins of it that run through other clay. And then there's some red clay up there that I covered up that's up higher. But what we have here is a real coarse sandy clay. Now it looks white just like beach sand, but it forms a ball. So it makes, you know, it's got a clay content in it, but it doesn't have, I would say, it's not a gooey seal the bottom of your pond type of clay, although I don't think the water went down through it just because there was some muck and some other stuff on top. But this is a lot better than what I'm finding, like from the front of the skid steer forward. The bank is just squishy, like it's dry up top where it's some dry sand, and then there's like 2 or 3 feet of just squishy like quicksand. It stinks. There's no way that's holding water. So I think the big problem has been lateral leakage above this kind of sandy clay and yellow clay. I think the path of least resistance has been laterally through that sand, especially on that end and on that side over there that was built up for the road. I'll try and get you an angle perspective here. So this, you know, I built all that up. There's probably up to 5 feet of dirt up there. Now, once that dries, I can grade it with a box blade or in a rototiller and plant it with grass. But now it's a gentle grade all the way down to the bottom of the pond. So you could mow that probably with a 0 turn, but definitely with a tractor. And I still have some areas I got to fill in, and I got to do that all the way down to that culvert, and also got to do that corner, and I got to do a little bit around this culvert as well. But I got plenty of dirt for that. The problem is getting that dirt up this hill, so I decided to try and get this hill sloped properly. But when I got past the front of the skid steer, that's where I ran into problems. So this here is some of that bottom muck. It's a little bit of gooey to it. But the problem is more up here. We got a clay layer, and then this, imagine like a triangle here. All of this is just sandy, and there's a muck layer in it, and the more you go that way, the more the muck layer is. So as I carve this out, I go up here and backblade it and I carve it out. I dig up some of that whitish gray clay, sandy clay, and I put that in its place. And that's slow going, but I think that's going to be so much more effective. And it also changes the slope of the pond, whereas before it was kind of abrupt, and when you came off of this hard dry clay where there's no water, you'd sink up to your knees in muck. And I think having this clay layer here, in addition to helping the pond hold water, is also going to prevent that. Because once this goes somewhere and you drive on it, look, it packs. It's been fascinating. It's been challenging, but I think I'm making progress. Like, there's a lot less chaos in the bottom of this pond than when we started this video. Take a quick break and see what Deb brought me in this cooler. She brought me lunch earlier, a sandwich and a drink. And she said there was a cooler over here, and I'm guessing there's my favorite honey barbecue snack sticks. Oh yeah, from our local butcher. And then I got a power bar and a sugar-free Red Bull and a Gatorade. She hooked me up. But I'm not here to talk about what I've got to eat or to snack on, but just so you can see that the pond is shaping. It's starting to come to, I don't think fruition is the right word yet, but it's starting to shape up. Making good progress. Just wanted to show you that it's not quite the mess it was at the beginning of the video.
I think sometimes this looks smaller on camera or you can't see the angles. I'm gonna go down here and try to get some different angles, and it's steep and I'm clumsy. I would not want to be in that at that angle. It's a sturdy little machine, but that'd make me nervous. It doesn't faze him.
The sun has set, but I still got a little bit more time I can work, but I wanted to get you guys some footage before it got too dark to film. But that side over there has come out really, really good. And I'm digging up that clay there in the bottom, that white grayish clay. And because it's drier, it's feathering in nicely and packing nicely. So if you go back a couple videos, that was like a 6-foot deep trench that was 5 foot wide and 20-30 foot long. And now it's perfectly graded. Well, perfect enough. I still got to do the final grade on it. But one thing that I've been thinking about a lot while I've been working here is that I had 2 people dig this pond. One person dug it the first time, and then I had somebody come back and redig it because I wanted the bank sloped a little bit differently, and they made the pond a little bit bigger. But neither one of them used a skid steer, and I guess I care about it more. So I'm taking the time to like move the right kind of dirt to where it needs to be. So I'm taking the sand out where there needs to be clay and putting clay in the back. But if they had done that, either one of them, when they did it, because both of them were pretty expensive, probably this pond probably wouldn't have leaked, or it wouldn't have leaked enough to be a problem. And after 5 or 6 years, it would have silted in and sealed itself. But because they didn't take the time and remove sand and put the right dirt where it needed to be, like I'm doing, they've caused me a lot of problems. And I'm no pond expert. I don't want to get into pond building business, but it's just common sense not to leave sand within your water line when you have plenty of clay to work with. But that's water under the bridge. I'm having a blast out here. And I think by tomorrow, I can have all of the dirt out of here and have it looking like a pond. Won't be finished, but it at least will have the basic shape that it needs. But that'll wrap it up for today. So we'll catch you on the next video. Remember, life's short, tractor hard. Take care, guys.